Welcome to the FedEx Institute of Technology podcast, where innovation meets insight. As the University of Memphis's hub for research and emerging technologies, we bring together experts, leaders, and change makers to share ideas shaping the future of technology, business, and society. Thank you for joining us. Let's get started.
All right, so first of all, I'd like to thank eBiz as one of our platinum sponsors. Certainly for the sponsorship, but also for the leadership in the community. Shridhar is very generous and talk about benevolent in the community. So I've seen him sponsor many things with the Chamber and the Chamber Circle and MEMTech. So we really appreciate your time. This is a very interesting panel. We're going to talk about AI in action. I won't steal any thunder from the panel. Let you guys go forward. But please welcome Shridhar, Christoph, Payton, and forgive me again, Ajitabh. So thank you. All right, so welcome.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you again for coming today. This is a great crowd, and I'm so honored to really go from what can AI do, right, and meet with three guys, wonderful guys that are actually doing it, right, in respective ways. So our before I get started, the whole AI is why, but I just met with Rob Carter. He's a CIO, ex-CIO of FedEx, and I asked him, like, what does leadership look like in this new age? And he said, one most important thing is curiosity, right? And I spoke to both of them, and then also Christoph. I don't know if he has joined, but all of them have one quality. When I talk to them is a curiosity and imagination. That is what's going to lead us in the future with the AI. With that being said, I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves for 30 seconds because I might not do it in 30 seconds. I need more time, so they can take 30 seconds. Ajitabh, we can start with you.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ajitabh Gupta. I work for a claims management company here in Memphis, Sedgwick Claims. I've been with this company for over 2 decades now, and it's been an interesting journey for me. And this is a story I tell a lot of people. When I started to join this company, it was about 300, 400 people big company. We are now about 35,000 people strong globally in 60 countries. What it means is I had the privilege of being part of a lot of growth that I've seen, switching from different roles. In last several years, I've been working on strategic projects, innovation, and Gen AI, and that's what Gen AI and AI, and that's what I'm here to share my things that we have done at our company. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Payton Baran. I live here in Memphis, and I'm the founder of AuditPro.ai. So excited to share more about what we're doing at our company, and pleasure to be with all of you today.
Cool. I know, like, Christoph is not able to join yet, so once he joins, we can ask him more questions. I want to start with one of the things, like, we work. I mean, eBiz also does a lot of implementations of AI. A shameless thing is we work with AuditPro. So that's one of our partnerships we had with Payton. So first, I wanted to just start with the word, like, curiosity and imagination, right? So I just want to start, like, what was the spark? What was the curiosity that both of you started having before you had this aha moment? We can solve this problem. So I want you want to
Sure,
start?
I'd be happy to start. So my background is in financial statement auditing and in investment analysis. I started my career in the DC area. And after graduating in 2008, I was an intern as well. In 2007, I worked for a firm called Dixon Hughes Goodman, and I did financial statement audits for many years. And fast forward to 2025, the vast majority of the work that I was doing is still done the same way today. And so I immersed myself in AI technology, partnered with Shridhar, and we've actually developed solutions that are simple for accounting firms of all sizes and as well as CFOs and financial professionals, where they can access safely AI solutions where they can optimize their performance, save time, and learn rapidly. And so I guess the aha moment for me was, I'll go just a little step backwards. When I started auditing in 2007 as the intern, it was my job to take the the data that we would do in the field work at the client site, and I would have to drive it from Virginia all the way back to the servers at the office in Maryland, and that sometimes would take an hour and a half or 2 hours. And by 2008, 2009, the files that we were moving manually to the server, we can now do in the cloud. Now, that was a huge advancement, right? But other than that, there's been some incremental progress along the way, and I've been part of some of that. But there really hasn't been a huge leap forward in the accounting and finance, profession. And so rather than watching it happen, I wanted to be part of it, and that's really what spurred my interest to build this company here in Memphis.
Yes. So at Sedgwick, we manage claims. And, when you look at the claim space, we manage work-related injuries, we manage claims for short-term disability, liability, property losses, and a lot of them, or almost all of them, have medical documents. And medical documents come from doctor's office, medical documents coming from hospitals, shapes and sizes, millions of documents coming. And we've been trying to solve that problem for many years. And the problem was when our adjusters look at those medical documents, how do they read through those documents quickly? They're not medical professionals. And you have seen medical professionals writing too. It's not easy to read anyhow. So how do you solve that problem when they're looking at those things? And really the purpose of that was, how do we make decisions faster? If a adjuster spends X amount of time reading the documents, that decision could be delayed. For a person who needs a medical care, that decision can be delayed, that have a very cascading impact. How do we shorten that cycle? How do we improve the outcomes? Then we have been trying to solve that problem before the advent of generative AI, even with analytical AI, machine learning models. And when ChatGPT was launched in November 2022, we first rolled out our Gen AI program in March or April of 2023. And really where it helped us was the problem that we were trying to solve with analytical AI, data going outside, machine learning models being built, and it would never be perfect. It would be about 80% right. With the ChatGPT or the generative AI, we were able to summarize those medical documents in a much faster way and very localized to our. So I think that was a big moment for us, a leap forward, that things that we were trying to solve for a long time, we could do it much faster. Again, internal with the data privacy within our private and enterprise instance. So I think that was a big moment for us.
Cool. Thank you. So with AI, there's always challenges not only in your organizations, but also challenges from society, right? So I just want you all to give a little bit background of what are the challenges. It could be technical, cultural, or process changes, because it's not easy to implement any new technology in a company. So you want to start and talk about any of the challenges or all of these three?
I think it'll pretty much come to all the three. So I would say, generally as a philosophy, you start small, you show some value, and then you scale responsibility. So those are the three S that we try to focus on: start small, show value, scale responsibility. And challenges vary over a period of time. If you're starting something new, you will have infrastructure related challenges. How do we start? Do we just go public using public domain? Likely no. How do you start? When we started our program, we were using GPT-3, I guess, which was not even multimodal. Multimodal means it cannot read different types of document. It would be only text-based. Different problem, token size, different problems at that point of time. How do you, if you see a large document that we will try to summarize, can we do it? We would have to use an OCR engine before that to convert the document image, PDF to text, and then text to this, or chunk it into small pieces. So different problems at different point of time. So once you overcome that problem, you said, all right, we are going to do horizontal stacking. How do we use the tokens efficiently? Do we reuse the same thing again? If I have summarized a document, AI is probabilistic, generative AI. So if you do it again, would you get exactly the same results? Highly no. So how do you solve for that problem? You store the summarization in your system, and then if somebody has to reference again, you use that versus trying to get it again. So things like that, when you start building your first project, run into those kind of issues. Once you figure that out, and depends upon how your organization, what your program is or what your project is, then you get into the next stuff. People, the trust, that's a big thing. Somebody who's working this thing has been doing this for 20 years. You cannot just walk in and tell them, hey, AI is going to solve this problem for you. People are not going to like it. I would not take it that way. So you have to build trust, human in the loop, build their trust, the feedback, improve those things. So that's, the cultural and adaptation. That always takes time. I think how earlier in the keynote he was saying, you put your hands like that. It's hard to do change management. And last but not the least, as you grow in this journey, the integration becomes, I think, a very critical factor. How do you integrate with your systems? At the end of the day, the solution that you're trying to build should be solving some problems, should make somebody's job easier. Is it a bolt-on system? Does somebody have to log in 3 times to get to that point versus can this be part of workflow? So I would say being part of the workflow is very critical for somebody to easily adopt the solution.
Sure. So, the first part of my career, I mentioned I was in financial statement auditing and, worked 70, 80 hours a week doing that for a lot of years. And then the second decade of my career, I spent building software for accounting firms, law firms, financial institutions. And really what I noticed, over doing this, and I've been on the side of building the software that takes a lot to implement, and on the side of, being signed up for the software that takes a lot to implement. And so when I looked at this problem, I knew that I wanted to create something where people could instantly realize value and really use a data light approach. So similar to what you said, let's not shoot for the moon day one and try to aggregate all this data and have just a massive impact and then everybody be disappointed because 6 months passes and we haven't done anything. And so I looked across basically the entire financial landscape. Doesn't matter what industry you're in or nonprofit, every type of industry, there are very similar attributes that the company has within their accounting records, and you can leverage those globally. Across the globe, they all have these same attributes, right? And so I worked with these simple inputs and paired AI and workflow with it in a safe way, and have been able to produce results that, based on what our users tell us, that it's saving them time, making them smarter, and they're having more confidence when they talk to their clients and their own team members. And so I'll just emphasize data light is kind of the approach that we've taken. Now, we certainly have customers that want to do, larger integrations, but we're walking before we run. And that's been our approach, and it's been successful.
Thank you, both of you. Before we continue, I just want to bring in our third panelist, Christoph. Christoph is from Germany. He's tuning in. So Christoph, good evening. So if you can just give a quick 30 seconds about you before we dive into some questions.
Absolutely. So can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, yep.
Very good. And you can even see me. Before I say something about myself, big shout out to the event management team in the background. We had some issues pulling me in and also making me visible. So big thanks to those guys that are doing everything in the background so that we really have here an international conference. So yeah, thanks for having me. My name is Christoph. I'm calling in from close to Cologne. And I would like to talk a little bit about my past as running the IT workplace in Bayer. Workplace was all about user productivity, user collaboration, and user support for 90,000 employees all across the world in 80 plus countries. And I particularly want to share some insights on the Gen AI implementation with Microsoft Copilot with you guys. Sorry for being a little bit late, but yeah, happy to take questions and then also chime into the panel discussion. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Christoph. So one of the things, right, there are so many problems and not, I wouldn't say problems or opportunities in an organization, right? It's ability to select the right problem to start with, right? So how did you choose the right problem, and why did you choose that as a problem or the opportunity to integrate AI? So I want to start with Christoph. Since you missed a couple of questions, I want to start off with you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for that question. So my case is maybe a little bit different because at the end of the day, it was not just one specific use case or one specific business function we were targeting with Microsoft Copilot. It was basically the trial of Microsoft Copilots in a German-based, though international company. And my story was, I recall that it was in 2023. On March, Microsoft announced that Microsoft Copilot thing, and I recall it was a big press announcement. We'll have your everyday AI companion ready for use. It will be super intuitive. It will combine everything into one single experience. And that was back in 2023. And guess what happened on the next day? I got 2 calls of my executives, especially the pharma IT heads, who said, can we have it tomorrow? Can we just roll it out? And then I have to make clear that at the time, that was still in a pilot phase. And usually Microsoft is very good at doing a lot of marketing around a product which is not ready to be shipped. So we had a lot of discussions, and we needed to convince Microsoft that we were one of the first companies actually in Europe to roll it out. And I was very proud that basically 3 weeks after Johnson & Johnson, my counterpart there, did get it, we also did get our hands on that early access program. And then to your question, where to get started, for us, it was basically following the Microsoft recommendation. So initially we had 300 users of all the divisions. So Bayer is active in the agri-tech fields. It's also active in the healthcare space. And you guys have hopefully all taken your aspirin this morning. So over-the-counter medication is another field of Bayer. So we took 300 users all across the divisions and also the support function. So pretty broad scope. And we not only focus on senior management so that they could play around with this, we actually had more than 70% of people actually using it, so creating content. And we also had some licenses then for the project stuff. So pretty broad, pretty all-encompassing, pretty big trial to really look at how to use it and how to make our users more productive.
Payton, you want to go?
Yeah, sure. So I'll reemphasize the data light approach is where we focused, and where really I experienced the pain points and problems that I set out to solve. And because they were so close to me, I verified that they were similar across the profession and even internationally, and said, how can we relieve some of the anxieties that auditors of all experience level are having today? And so it was less about what is the granular piece of data and schedule that we could create and do it faster with AI. It was more about how can we make, I wanted people like me, early on in their career to not be afraid to ask the stupid question and maybe already have the answer in front of them with even more detail, and just arm them with that confidence to be able to talk with the CFOs or the CEOs or COOs of the clients that they were auditing, as well as internally. And so that's really the approach that we took. It wasn't let's make sure we have all the data and we can do everything we need to do. Let's emotionally and with knowledge help people. And so that's what we've achieved.
Yeah. I mean, I would expand upon the use case that I touch based, and why? Because it is such a big use case for us. Like I said, we read millions of documents in a year, different medical documents. So for us, the first use case was really taking a very small pie out of that with the right kind of people. I mean, that right kind of people, what I mean is when you're partnering with somebody in operations and things like that, you want to have people who are very forward thinking. You will see all kind of people who may hate technology, people who may not like it, people who are less open to it, but then there are people who are very open to it. So that right kind of partnership with people was a key for us. And when we took this medical summarization program that I was talking about, it was about, we have been trying that with analytical AI for a very, very long time. And it was about doing that and doing that like how an experienced adjuster would do. I mean, AI can solve a problem 80% right out of the gate, for example, but how do you move the needle from 80% to 96%? Because that's the time when it creates value, a measurable value. Think about it. If you're doing it 80% right, that means you're also doing 20% wrong. 20% wrong on each piece of document or 20% across the board means 2 out of 10. What it means is then everybody has to do twice the work. They will see what AI is doing, but you still have to do the entire manual work. So how do you move the needle? So I think that those were some of the things that we considered when we were building the first project. Keep it small, stay focused, human in the loop, get the feedback, adoption, fine tune it.
Cool. Thank you. And I know, like Christoph, you mentioned that you followed the recommendation from Microsoft, right? So how you thought about, are you going to pick up from off the shelf, or you want to fine tune, or you're going to start from scratch? So what was your thought process, and what do you recommend?
And I think that's sort of an important question you are asking, because you need to look at basically off-the-shelf products that you need to customize a little bit, as opposed to AI solutions that you actually tailor-made to help in a process. Both I would still see in the area of user productivity, but then you have, of course, agentic AI topics that really change the way how you operate, so that actually bring you even more value. So I think maybe also for the audience, an important framework to think about what's the value and how much target audience are you actually targeting. In my case, as I said, it was 300 users all across the board, taking basically an off-the-shelf product, but it was two things. Number one, helping them that they can use it for their best, to their best. Yeah? And in all terms, you would have said training, but it was way more than training. It was really, we had adoption experts who sat with the people, who did conference calls. Yeah? And the second point, who then found similarities. So I'm working as a controller, I have to do Excel analysis, and maybe there are the same mechanisms to make you more productive when you are in drug discovery, because you're also working with a lot of data. You are in HR and you need to work with data on applications, on HR data. And then you are in legal, you also have a lot of legal documents that you need to browse through and you need to summarize. So finding those similarities and commonalities between the way people actually use and work, and then finding the pieces that make the people more productive. Yeah? So at the end of the day, similarities, but then making it for the concrete target audience relevant. And for that, we have listened to our users and we have come up with real concrete questions. Example, you want to improve the collaboration. Here are the tools, here are the prompts. You want to get data condensed in a condensed format. Here are the prompts, here are the best practices. You are working in an international team, be it in drug discovery, be it an HR project, yeah, be it an IT project. Here are the top 5 prompts and the top 5 approaches you could use. So taking the off-the-shelf, customizing it in inverted commas to the needs of specific target audiences. That would be my best practice in that space.
Cool. Thank you. Ajitabh.
I mean, for us, it was more about, Copilot is a different use case, but us, when we were bringing in the generative AI within our organization, it was more about using the off-the-shelf available LLMs that are out there, and how do we use that in a more private and a secure environment. Being in the claims and insurance space, data privacy, data security was at the forefront. So which platform supports that? And we, when OpenAI launched in November 22, that's kind of where we lean toward and says, how can we solve a problem? So it was more about using off-the-shelf product versus trying to build. That was pre-LLM, when we were using in the analytical AI that you will build data models. The data science team is going to build data models and try to fine tune a solution. But with generative AI, for our use cases where we think which could bring efficiency in our processes, we picked off the shelf.
Sure. Back on. Something I've learned over the years working with accounting firms and financial firms is that if you open up the opportunity for them to customize, they will customize until the end of time. So, the solutions that we've built at AuditPro.ai, they are off-the-shelf turnkey solutions that these firms can use. At the same time, what we've really put in place is just relentless product prioritization. So we take in all the inputs from the different firms that we work with and hear from, and we make sure that we're building the things that will have the highest impact for the greatest number of users on Earth. And so that's really the approach that we've taken. So I think it's a little bit of off the shelf, call it customization, but relentless product prioritization has been super helpful with our path forward.
I have one more thing to add. As Payton was talking, and I thought about it. So one thing we did within our organization when we were rolling out something like this, I mean, the LLMs in the OpenAI or generative AI, you have to be very controlled. So it was not like open to everybody to start interacting with it. We rolled out in a very controlled way that here are, let's just say, X available of things that they can do prompt. So they were not open to just interacting, and people, from a privacy perspective, started opening document and starting it, summarizing or doing those things. But it was very controlled. It was a very controlled way when it was launched. Or you can do only X, Y, and Z things. It wasn't open to, let's say, 20,000 people to doing so. It was a very turnkey and controlled way of leveraging that. So you have to be cautious from a data privacy perspective.
So listening three of you talk about a few things, I think there should be a competitive advantage, right, for within the organizations. And just talking to you all, listening to you all, I think beyond the LLMs, beyond what anybody could implement, right? You can implement Claude and I can implement tomorrow the same Claude and we are at the same level. So what I'm hearing from three of you say is the most important thing is the data and knowledge, which is your proprietary, right? And then bringing people as a feedback loop to improve the product. And then the most important thing is how do you embed into your workflows, right? So if that's what I'm hearing, just tell me how you have proved that value and how long it has taken to prove that value. Ajitabh, you want to start?
Yes, sure. I mean, proving the value. So how do you prove the value of generative AI? Or since this is about generative AI, not analytical AI or agentic AI, so I want to stay focused on that. It's a slow process, but when the statement changes, can I trust AI, to how can I get more AI? Or can I, for other example, can I trust AI, or can I have my claims or my workflows in a process? That's when you think that it has proved the value. Because it's a combination of two things. It's a combination of data telling you that things have improved, and then and the other aspect is the human aspect, which I think is a very, very important aspect, or equally important aspect, when people have bought in, because that's the time when you can accelerate things. Data can tell you a lot of things. So ROI, for example, has it reduced the time to do things? That's good. How accurate is it? Is it providing the results as you expected? Because that takes time. The perfection takes time, and you have to perfect it for it to be right. Humans historically are not measured to that level for perfection, but technology is. Even if you look at switching topics, but if you look at FSDs in car, people are not subjected to measure how many accidents they are doing. It was okay to accept what it is, but when an autonomous vehicle comes on the road, it is measured through that lens, although it continuously proves it is better than person, but still one accident creates a lot of noise. So same thing when you bring in technology in your workspace, especially with generative AI, it's looked through a lens, rightly so, nothing wrong about it, but because the expectations are very high. So the people aspect is very, very important to prove the value. So you look at the measuring ROI, like I said, reduce the time, employee satisfaction. Has it improved the outcomes? In our case, that's a really good measure. If we cut down the time on doing certain things in the claim space, what's the impact on the life cycle of a claim? If a claim takes 20 days to close, has it been reduced to 15 days, 10 days, which means you are reaching the person much quicker than what you have done typically, which means he gets the medical assistance that he needs. Maybe today, if a doctor's notes comes in, can you respond back? So reducing the time, the quality, and of course, the people aspect was very important adoption by people.
Payton.
I'll try to keep it brief because I could talk a long time on this topic, but I guess what we hear from our customers and from the users is that it saves them time. And it's as simple as that, and it makes them more confident. I think the other topic, everybody here has interacted, with Gemini or ChatGPT, and you get the results, and sometimes you can pick off where they're not right and that type of thing. So something that we've been working on hard at AuditPro.ai we've been making sure that the outputs that the end user receives, in most cases, it's a financial statement auditor, that they've been refined almost like a human being expert, auditor with 100 years of experience, who's an expert in every industry on earth, has read through these and modified the outputs to make sure that they are fine-tuned for their use case as a financial statement auditor. So we call that a secondary knowledge base. So we pair that along with additional large language models, and that's how we get the results that we get. And it's a proprietary secondary knowledge base loaded up with data sources that we hand select and train to make sure that the users are getting the best results out of our platform.
I would like to answer the question in three dimensions. The first dimension is back in 1989, so quite some time ago, there was a study done by a social psychologist called Davis who looked at acceptance of software. And I would venture to say that these two things he found out at the time are still valid. Number one, the basic question is, when are you willing to use a piece of software? Number one, ease of use, no handbook of 1,000 pages, super easy to use. That's number one. And number two, perceived usefulness. It helps you. It brings you something. It makes you more productive. So these very simple two elements are still valid. And this you find in AI, you find in the standard software, what have you. That's number one. Number two, of course, when we looked at our Copilot implementation, we had tons of surveys, tons of user meetings, time savings. Employees said that they save 24 minutes per day on average. They are like 75% claimed that they were more productive. They said their quality improves. They could reduce routine tasks, all these kinds of things. So the survey and the business case stuff. So that's some sort of a given. But the third element for me always is this AI only seen sort of as a nice productivity tool, or does it at the end of the day also change the way we work, we collaborate, we invent new stuff? So is it really leapfrogging us into a new way of working? And here I would actually have some question marks on some areas, because that's the harder nut to crack. And I think that is the discussion we will have in the next years to come.
Cool. As we're going to wrap up pretty soon because we want to take some questions. So as I hear from y'all, AI is here, we have to implement, there is no other option for everybody. So, but with these three gentlemen, they have given us real good value of how you can implement AI in your organization at different levels. So here are from a couple of things, few things I learned from this is always look at bringing AI into your workflow, not just for a meeting notes or something. Just make sure where would it impact in a workflow in your company, right? And start with your data. Make sure your data, if your data is bad, the AI can make it worse for you, right? And then always make sure people are in the loop to allow the AI to really build a better product day to day. It's going to continuously improve as you're bringing in. So with that being said, because you guys have done this, right? Been there, done that. What could some of the things, like 30 seconds, I just want to say, what would be the pitfalls that people need to watch?
I can start. Don't do AI for the sake of doing it. A lot of times I have heard those things. You will see demos of vendors, providers. This is easy. This is doable. Let's build a bot for you. This is fantastic use case. We can run up running. Having a general purpose thing which doesn't solve a business problem isn't going to do any good for you. Number one. Number two, it is likely not going to provide the right answers. We have heard about hallucinations or anything. So spend time, find the right use case, go for it. It is never too late to start. So don't think you have missed something and I want to rush on something. Go deep into it, much like any other product. And last but not the least, because generative AI is very probabilistic, testing is very important. Start within something internal, not external or client facing.
Christoph.
It's all about the value. It's all about how the user sees it. And it's all about the evolution. So it's not a piece of standard software that you implement for 3 years and then you just run it. You need to continuously keep up. and also change your strategy throughout the way. But you need to have a strategy because otherwise you get lost.
I thought Christoph hit on it earlier too. He said ease of use. So I think about consumer technology, like we've all used Uber, right? Nobody here in this room got a call from Uber and was trained on how to use it, right? So why is it that enterprise software requires lengthy implementations, multiple internal calls with the vendor and all of that, right? Pick solutions, if you're going to get them out of the box, pick solutions that the user experience is so intuitive that you don't have to spend 6-12 months implementing them and not seeing value. So I think user experience, ease of use, there's a huge benefit there. Make sure they're safe and use them.
Thank you, everyone. Okay. So anybody have a question? We'll have one question.
I think I'm on right now.
I think whoever it got red, they will start.
How are you doing? My name's Coriano. So I had a question because I've been diving really deep into ethical AI, and you were mentioning about human in the loop. So I'm curious about how do you decide on the confidence threshold for that auto approval, for the auto reject, and for that kind of in between where the human in the loop is going to then be kind of taking that over. So I'm kind of curious how you decide, because I've been doing some research and seeing some of that as low as like 30% for like auto approval, or as low as 5% for rejection approval. And then the human in loop sits right between there. So I was just kind of curious about that because I was really surprised how low
Your answer.
those thresholds
Sure.
were.
I can take this question. One thing what we have learned is, or at least we are doing it, we're not using AI or generative AI to say no. It's always to say yes. No, there's a human in the loop. That's number one. Number two, even to say yes, the training, the initial part takes time. Like I was saying earlier, 80% is fine. But what's your threshold of success?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Threshold of success is 96%, for example. You work on that till you get to that point. And then also, AI is not about, if you compare AI with humans, is it better than humans' decisions? If you scale it, if you have 5,000 people making decisions, is your accuracy better than humans? That's the threshold. It's not AI being compared with 100% accuracy. Nobody is 100% accurate. So you have to adapt to that change. And then, guardrails for certain things. If there is any doubt, human in the loop. For some of our critical use cases, yes, it takes time to do X stuff, but can the human review it before it goes out of the door? Over a period of time, you build that trust. And once that trust is there, it's important. And last but not the least, the transparency. If it is for somebody else, whomever the outcomes are, the transparency is important. There are state regulations for what we do, but then transparency, you tell them the AI is making decisions. So the other person also has a threshold to understand this is AI-based decision. They're getting some value because of the time, the quality of the work.
Thank you.
That's kind of how.
We'll take one more.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you turn it off? And I want to see who got the red.
Yes. Along the same line as those, no AI agent is going to be perfect. You spoke earlier about the 80% and the 20%. How do you determine when it does answer wrong? How do you determine who is responsible? Are you creating a situation where there is no responsible party anymore?
I'll give you just my perspective from the auditing profession. So at the end of the day, it's the end user who is going to read through this information and decide what from it they may or may not use, right? And auditors are required to have a level of professional judgment. So while we'll do our best to give them high quality results, at the end of the day, it is on the end user. We're not issuing, our platform doesn't issue your financial statement and then publish it to SEC's Edgar system for all of us to, do. So it's like, I guess my point is that it is the end user in our situation that kind of ultimately makes the decision on what's accurate and what's not.
Cool. Thank you again. Thank you all for joining. And both of them will be here today. If you all have any questions, how they implemented what they've done, you can feel free to ask them, and I'll also be here. So we have done some implementations too. So we can definitely help you. All right. Thank you all so much.